It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting devoted to the transport sector, during which a number of decisions have been taken, including the renewal of the bus fleet. Algeria has secured a seat within the executive body of the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization, the equivalent of its board of directors, for a mandate of 4 years. The Palestinian presidency announced the ongoing Israeli military escalation in Palestinian cities, villages and refugee camps, the latest of which was the violent raid on Nablus, describing it as a dangerous example of systematic aggression. Hello and welcome on Radio Algeria International. I'm Mariam Bershi. The President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting devoted to the transport sector. Jamal Salmani reports.
At the beginning of the meeting, participants honored the victims of the recent tragic bus accident. Following discussions, it was decided to immediately import 10,000 new buses to replace old ones and to proceed with the large-scale import of various vehicle tires. It was also decided to draft new road traffic laws, especially on driving license producers, and to hold road accident perpetrators civilly liable. Drivers will undergo regular checks to detect drug or substance use. For the first time, responsibility for accidents will also extend to road builders, driving schools and inspection bodies. Security forces were instructed to intensify nationwide controls to enforce the highway code and combat road terrorism. The meeting was held in the presence of Army General Said Shingriha, the Director of Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic, Mr. Boualem Boualem, the Ministers of the Interior, Justice, Finance, Transport, Industry, Health and Public Works, and other state officials.
In the same context, the Minister of Transport, Said Sayoud, has chaired a meeting to implement the instruction of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, regarding the renewal of the bus fleet. Mr. Sharfi has the details.
The meeting was attended by senior officials from the Transport Ministry, along with the heads of the Passenger Land Transport Group, Transtiv, and the Algiers Airport Management Company. The meeting focused on implementing the President's instructions, notably renewing the bus fleet with 10,000 imports, drafting new road traffic laws, tightening drive-in license procedures, and assigning civil liability in accidents. It also addressed periodic driver checks, stronger drug control measures, and extending accident liability to road builders, drive-in schools and inspection bodies. On another note, the minister addressed during the meeting the preparations of the Intra-African Trade Fair 2025, where he called for the full mobilization of all actors to ensure the success of this event and to represent Algeria in the best possible way at both the African and international levels. In this context, the chairman and CEO of the Passenger Land Transport Group presented a number of buses equipped and designated for the event, providing clarifications regarding the year they began operating, their quality, the route plan, as well as their technical condition.
Algeria has secured a seat within the executive body of the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization, the equivalent of its board of directors, for a mandate of 4 years. The Secretary General of the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization, Abdullah bin Suhail, stressed the humanitarian work is now an existential necessity amid the regional crisis and praised the Algerian Red Crescent's executive committee membership for its long-standing humanitarian expertise.
نود أن نؤكد في المنظمة العربية للهلال الأحمر والصليب الأحمر.
We would like to affirm in the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization that humanitarian work is no longer a choice, but has become an existential necessity in view of the conflicts and crises witnessed in the Arab region. We are proud today of the presence of the Algerian Red Crescent Society among the members of the Executive Committee of the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization, given the historical expertise the society possesses in the field of humanitarian work.
That was the Secretary General of the Arab Red Crescent and Red Cross organization, Abdullah bin Suhail. The Vice Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Tawfiq Gazzoud, has stressed from Guatemala the importance Algeria attaches to strengthening South-South cooperation, considering that parliamentary diplomacy is essential to bring people closer together and build lasting partnerships. In a speech read by Mr. Ghizout on behalf of the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Brahim Buhali, before the General Assembly of the Central American Parliament, PALACEN, he expressed Algeria's pride in its parliamentary cooperation relations with the countries of the region. Algeria, under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, attaches great importance to strengthening the approach. He stressed Algeria's efforts within the framework of its mandate as a non-permanent member of the Security Council, notably in defending the Palestinian cause and calling for an end to the aggression against the Palestinian people, adding that Algeria, as the largest country in Africa, is working to be a bridge of communication between Africa and Central America, serving the interest of the peoples of both continents. Algeria is taking part in the 62nd edition of the Damascus International Fair in Syria as part of efforts to strengthen the presence of national products in regional and international markets. The Algerian booth features a host of pioneering national companies in several fields, such as construction materials and ceramics, renewable energies, cosmetics, and agricultural and food products. The program for Algeria's participation in this 10-day event includes the organization of B2B meetings, technical presentations of national products and negotiation sessions for the conclusion of strategic partnership agreements in the field of investment. The participation is part of the national strategy aimed at expanding economic partnership, promoting the quality and variety of national products and opening up new opportunities for Algerian economic operators to access new markets. A delegation from the Chinese group Qimbing Group has presented at the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies an investment project for the production of solar glass in Algeria. Jamil Salmani reports.
The Chinese delegation, led by the Deputy General Director of the group, Eric Wang Quan, was received by the Secretary of State to the Minister of Energy, in charge of renewable energies, Nuruddin Yessa. The project provides for the construction of a solid glass production plant with a capacity of 1.53 million tons per year and a unit for the treatment and valorization of ultra-pure silica sand with a capacity of 1.08 million tons per year. Mr. Yessa stressed Algeria's commitment to fostering partnerships with leading international companies, noting promising investment opportunities in hydrocarbons, clean energy and mining. He highlighted reforms improving the investment climate and emphasized Algeria's focus on major strategic projects supporting energy transition and economic diversification. He outlined Algeria's legal mechanisms for developing national mining resources. The meeting concluded with an agreement to continue consultations to turn this shared vision into concrete projects, supporting solid glass development and the country's energy transition.
Moving into the situation in the Middle East, several Palestinian civilians were killed and wounded today in the Israeli occupation air and ground shelling across the Gaza Strip. 2 civilians were killed and others were wounded in Israeli artillery shelling of a house in the Darej neighborhood of Gaza City. Several civilians were wounded when an Israeli drone bombed a tent housing displaced persons in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood. The occupation also continues to bomb homes in the Zaytun and Sabra neighborhoods south of Gaza City. At least 70 citizens have been killed by Israeli occupying forces in airstrikes since yesterday. Meanwhile, medical sources announced that 10 Palestinians, including 2 children, died in the past 24 hours due to starvation and malnutrition in the Gaza Strip. This brings the total number of the starvation-related fatalities to 313, including 119 children. The ongoing humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip continues to worsen due to the blockade and shortages of food and medical supplies. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, has warned that malnutrition among children under 5 doubled between March and June as a result of the ongoing blockade. The spokesperson of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Tamim El-Khatin, has said the targeting of journalists is unacceptable, calling for an independent investigation.
This incident and the killing of all civilians, including journalists, must be thoroughly and independently investigated, and justice must follow. We have seen and documented many attacks on journalists, which are unacceptable. At least 247 Palestinian journalists have been killed in Gaza since the 7th of October 2023. These journalists are the eyes and the ears of the whole world, and they must be protected. This raises many questions about the targeting of journalists. All of these incidents must absolutely be investigated, and those responsible must be held accountable.
That was the spokesperson of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Tamim El-Khattain. The official spokesman for the Palestinian presidency, Nabil Abu Rodaina, denounced the ongoing Israeli military escalation in Palestinian cities, villages and refugee camps, the latest of which was the violent raid on Nablus, describing it as a dangerous example of systematic aggression. The occupation forces stormed the city of Nablus at noon on Wednesday, besieging the old city, targeting civilians and forcing them to leave their homes. This comes amid the ongoing Israeli aggression and starvation in the Gaza Strip. He held the Israeli government fully responsible for the escalating attacks on the occupation army and the terror of settlers against the Palestinian people, warning that such policies would destroy everything and push the region towards greater instability. The official spokesman for the Palestinian presidency reiterated his call on the U.S. administration to assume its responsibilities and pressure the occupation government to halt these dangerous policies that violate all international resolutions and international law, and to compel it to cease its war and aggressive policies. He stated that the international community must take immediate action to confront Israel's challenge to legitimacy and its refusal to abide by international law. Abu Rodaina added that it must not be satisfied with the policy of condemnation and denunciation, and must impose sanctions that force the occupying state to review its destructive policies in the region and the world. The head of the Iranian diplomacy has stressed that the return of the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors to Iran does not mark a full resumption of cooperation on Tehran's nuclear program, which was suspended in July. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, and the M23 armed group has resumed negotiation in Qatar as violence deepens in the country's eastern provinces in spite of recently signed agreement to reach a full peace deal. Mr. Charfi reports.
The Qatari Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari said that the delegations from Kinshasa and the M23 were meeting in Doha to review the implementations of a truce signed in July. The deal brokered by Qatar committed both sides to a ceasefire and a path to a final settlement. Under its terms, talks were supposed to begin on August 8th and concluded by August 18th. Both deadlines passed without progress, and the agreement has flattered amid accusations of violation from both sides. Mr. Ansari said the ongoing discussions include plans to create a mechanism for monitoring the truce, as well as an exchange of prisoners and detainees. He added that the United States and the International Committee of the Red Cross were closely involved in supporting the talks. The Qatari-led initiative followed a separate ceasefire agreement signed in Washington between Rwanda, accused of backing the M23, and the DRC in June. The M23, for its part, rejected that deal, demanding direct negotiations with Kinshasa to address what is called unresolved political grievances. Despite multiple ceasefire attempts, fighting has intensified in North and South Kivu provinces, forcing more than 2 million people from their homes this year.
The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged the international community to renew its solidarity with the hundreds of thousands of Rohingya who fled Rakhine State, Myanmar, 8 years ago amid violence or armed violence. Dimitri Mani has more details in this report.
In a statement released by his spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric, Mr. Guterres condemned the forced recruitment, human rights violations and other abuses suffered by the Rohingya, as well as the entire population of Rakhine State.
The Secretary General said that 8 years since the forced mass displacement from Rakhine State, Rohingya people in and outside Myanmar are facing further deterioration in their already dire circumstances. In Rakhine, Rohingya and other civilians are caught in the crossfire between the military and the Arakan army, and they are subjected to forced recruitment, human rights violations, and many other abuses. Continued violence has forced more Rohingyas to flee, including into Bangladesh, which is already generously hosting 1.1 million refugees from Myanmar. Reports of pushback, removals, and deportations across the region raise serious concerns over potential violations of the principle of non-refoulement and the shrinking asylum space. Funding cuts are severely curtailing our education, food assistance, healthcare, livelihood opportunities, and protection services for those refugees. The Secretary General reiterates his call for the protection of all civilians in accordance with applicable obligations under international law.
The Secretary General also shared his hope that the 30 September high-level conference on Rohingya and other minorities that will take place in New York, as mandated by the United Nations General Assembly, will draw renewed international attention to the urgency of finding durable solutions. Let's recall that on the 25th of August 2017, more than 700,000 men, women and children crossed the border to seek refuge in neighbouring Bangladesh after an offensive by the Burmese army.
The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has hailed the decision of the United Nations General Assembly to create 2 new mechanisms aimed at promoting international cooperation in the governance of artificial intelligence, AI. During his daily press briefing, the spokesman for the United Nations Secretary-General, Stéphane Dujarric, said that the creation of the UN Independent International Scientific Panel on AI and the Global Dialogue on AI Governance marks a significant step forward in global efforts to harness the benefits of AI while managing its risks.
The establishment of the UN Independent International Scientific Panel on AI and the Global Dialogue on AI Governance marks a significant step forward in a global effort to harness the benefits of artificial intelligence while addressing its risks. This path-breaking milestone underlines member states' commitment to build on the Global Digital Compact adapted as part of the Pact for the Future in September 2024. The Global Dialogue on AI Governance will provide an inclusive platform within the United Nations for states and stakeholders to discuss the critical issues concerning artificial intelligence facing humanity today. The scientific panel on AI will serve as a crucial bridge between cutting-edge AI research and policy making. By providing rigorous, independent scientific assessments, it will help the international community to anticipate emerging challenges and make informed decisions about how we govern this transformative technology.
That was the spokesman for the United Nations Secretary-General, Stéphane Dujarric. With this last bit of news comes the end of our news bulletin. Stay tuned on Radio Algeria International.